Welcome back everyone to another episode in the Disassembly series. So this is a special one, Spyderco Manix 2, the CruCarta version. And this is the one I am doing my giveaway on, meaning this is the one I'm gifting away. I did recently hit 500 subs, so very excited. Thank you for all the support. All my subscribers, even if you don't subscribe and you do comment, I appreciate the conversations as well. I will be doing a full disassembly, cleaning it up, meaning I'm gonna clean up my Carta scales, polish the blade a little bit with Flitz, which actually I did not bring out, but I'll do that. And I was planning to do a time lapse for the disassembly, reassembly portions. However, I actually tried taking this apart. I haven't taken apart a Manix 2 in a couple years. Interesting enough, I didn't realize how challenging it could be. There's a few different areas about this assembly of a Manix 2 that I really want to know and kind of call out. Therefore, I'm not going to be doing a time lapse, so be prepared. This will be somewhat of a long video. However, I will make sure it has chapters so you can skip to the portions that are most relevant for your viewing purposes. All right, so I do have my tools. Now, the clip screws right there and the body screws are all T8, and then pivot is T10. So I'm just gonna take those two out, which are these two. Set that aside. This is the tool I'm using. I can post links on the description, so that way if you want to get the exact tools I have, I'll give you some links to where you can access those. Okay, so I would say my wife says I'm a very organized person. Actually, I don't know if she says that. I think I'm a very organized person. And so I tend to do everything step by step and lay things out so that way it's easy to put back together and find. And just to be honest, I tried disassembling this because I was about to make this video probably a couple days ago and realized as I was doing the video, I was finding areas where it didn't go as smooth as I wanted. So I actually practiced disassembling this before this video. So that way I don't look like a complete fool. Yeah. Can't really have a disassembly video in somewhat of a tutorial fashion if you don't know how to do it yourself. But all right, so that's the mid body screw. This is the top one. And actually, I'm gonna put it on this side to reference this side of the scales. Okay, and then actually I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can, there you go. Okay. Got T10 for the pivot. Pop it in right there. From my experience, I tend to disassemble knives with the blade open, only because from some knives that once you take off all the screws, the centering gets thrown off. And so you don't want to risk scratching the blade as when you're disassembling then having to open it. So, but for this one in particular, I found that it's perfectly fine, disassembly closed. So I'm gonna get this off first. Here's the scale, right there. I am going to grab something that I will use later, and I will explain what these are for later, but maybe I won't need them, but okay. So take out the liner. Okay, that's the liner. Put that on the side. Got your screws right here. All right, so to remove the blade, it's not a simple, you can't pull in on it because I'll show you the cage has a portion of that goes down to about right there. So as you're pulling down, it hits that bottom portion of that cage. So there's actually not enough room to lift off the blade without taking out the other side. However, you don't want to just do both sides because you could risk having it pop off and the spring can, you know, jump somewhere else and you might not be able to find it, and then you're SOL, right? Now you need a spring to be able to get the knife to function again. So what I'm gonna do, I'm only going to remove the top body screw on the other side. So I'm gonna flip it over. I'm only gonna remove this one right here. Oh, I'm sorry. The pivot screw and the top body screw. All right, so actually, let me take the pivot screw off first. Okay, I'm gonna set it on this side just so I can remember. I doubt it makes a huge difference, but I don't want to find that out later through trial and error. So get your T8 back on, take out this body screw on the top. Oh, one washer already fell out. So since that is off, I'm going to set this washer towards this side of the screws. Okay, so you can see that pivot's out, top body screw is out. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull down on the cage and shift this bar outwards. Okay, so see it's shifted out. From here, you're gonna pull down on the pull down. Wait, this. Oh, there's the steel ball, by the way. It's coming out. So I'm gonna release that so it drops out. Oh, it's magnetic. So I'm gonna leave that right there, right in the middle. The cage can go down a little bit lower now, which should give you enough space to actually pop this open first. You should be able to lift off the blade from here. There you go. So the blade's lifted off. So I did have to open to remove the blade. Oh, and there's that spring. Yep. I mean, it's not a huge spring, but if you don't have a clean workspace, I don't want to say my workspace is entirely that clean, but it's possible that it can bounce out and go somewhere else. So, all right, so that is the cage. It's a plastic cage. Set that right there, those components. And this piece right here, it's almost like an upper back spacer combined with where it holds the cage. I mean, this is a very important piece of this knife. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the other body screw on the other side. Take that off. And then, so, okay, here's the blade. That. Take out the scale first. And you can just wiggle it a little bit and it should pop off. There. Lanyard 2 will fall right out once the scales are removed. And this portion right there. So during my disassembly, actually, yeah, I'll just take it off because I was gonna leave this on for the sake of you know, because it's actually kind of it's D-shaped right there, right? And it looks like when they did the welding, they made it very tight. So you need to actually muscle this pivot pin into this portion of the liner. So I'll just pop it out right now. But is it coming out? There we go. And what I used is a divot marker, or no, I'm sorry, a divot tool. This is from our local golf course. Set that aside. Washer is still on here, so I'm gonna take that away. All right, so now I'm actually gonna pause the video because I am going to go use some mild soap. I'm gonna clean these micarta scales up so they're nice and shiny for the new owner. By the way, by the time this video releases, this knife will be on its way, will be already assigned to a chosen winner, because I'm filming this in ahead of time. However, I'm dropping this the day after I have a live drawing for the giveaway. But I'm gonna clean these up, and I'm gonna polish the blade, and then I will get back to this view. So I'm gonna pause it here and I will be back. All right, welcome back. And let's see. So I've went ahead and put mild soap. I use soft soap and wiped it down on the scales. Used a toothbrush to kind of brush it in a little bit, and then I used a hair dryer to dry them up. They look very, very new. Well, very close to new, at least. They still got plenty of texture on there. This white spot you see right there is from the pocket clip, so I wasn't able to remove that. I polished up the blade with Flitz. And so if you'd be hard pressed to distinguish this blade, at least the grind, from a new one. I have sharpened this, which the video will release prior to this one, but I'll just show you some markings. 424. I've had a commenter state that possibly might be I can't remember. I thought it was the date. That was when it was produced, or yeah, the production date, which would be April of 2024. Could be wrong. That's what makes the most sense to me. Let's go through some of the components. So this is the pivot pin, and this is what the blade rotates on. You got your pivot screws up there, your top body, mid body. You got your washers, and your cage, your spring, your stainless steel ball. And this is what I want to call like an upper back spacer, but it's very crucial component, obviously, because it does hold the cage and the spring right there. And then you got your lanyard tube right here. All right, let's piece this back together. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put EDCI formula on the liners and the blade tang. So it's supposed to help with corrosion resistance, just to coat it. I mean, the stainless steel liners probably doesn't need it, but just because it says it's stainless steel, that there's different degrees. So I'll do that, wipe it down, and I'll do the same for the other liner. In my mind, I mean, I don't know how effective it is. I had another Manix too, which was also a crew wear version, and I used, actually I didn't use this. I used Frog Lube, but I mean, everything only lasts for so long. So when I did that was probably many years ago, and I feel like I'm starting to see some type of, I don't know if it's rust, but it's starting to develop some type of buildup. So, all right, let's see. Okay, so that's the tang of the blade. I always tell my daughter, if you have a straw or something that's a spray bottle, you're supposed to spray it upright or not too much of an angle. And I'm doing the same thing right now. Listen to your own advice, Dad. Okay, so that's cleaned up. So step by step, I'm gonna piece it back together. And again, this is from my experience of when I originally wanted to do this video, and realize it's not as easy as it looks. So, all right, lanyard pin, there we go. I'll throw on the first scale. This portion I kind of had some trouble when I was putting it back together, so I had to use a pen to push it through. So it would appear that I'm going to do that now. So I'm just using a ballpoint pen, something with material that is softer than metal, so that way you don't end up scratching or bending or messing up the lanyard tube. So I got that in. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. So with a pivot pin, you got to make sure you get the D-shaped side onto the same liner that has the D shape on it. So that would be this side, which if you're tip up right or tip up, if you're right hand carry, this will be your presentation side. So that's the liner that's going to use the D shape. Interesting enough, the liners are, the left and right liners are the same, at least visually. So if you were to reverse it and you wanted a D pin on the other side, the clip side, if you're a right hand carry, I don't see why that wouldn't work. But all right, so, well, actually, apologies everyone. I'm gonna clean up the washers first because I do need one of them now. So I'm gonna just throw a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my towel, get it nice and cleaned up. Okay. Throw this on the side with the D shape, which is right there. And I'm going to attempt to get that on there. So this part proved to be a little tricky as well. I needed something to push it in. And so I'm going to use the same tool, which is a divot tool. But any sort of tool that has, you know, again, use a tool or in something that's softer than metal so you don't end up messing anything up on your components. That's just some compressed air to blow out any of the plastic shavings that may have came off. Let's see. I'm gonna give it a little bit more effort just to make sure that it's all the way in. I don't want to end up sending this to somebody and them having to take it apart and fix it again. So, and to be honest, I took the extra steps with the Flitz on the blade as well as cleaning up, with soap on the micarta handle, only because I wanted to provide the winner something as close to new as possible. Until I start getting monetized, I don't plan on giving out new knives just because it's I would like to get content out of it first. But okay, anyways, so let's go ahead and get the first pivot screw back on. Get your T10. I am not going to Loctite anything just because it's not necessary. Well, no, you can Loctite it, but I haven't experienced any loosening of the pivot screw from use. I've carried it straight for about 2 weeks. Used it probably every day. All right, so that's the first one. I'm going to put this back on and just this side only. So I'm going to only put the mid body screw so I can keep this locked in. I gotta switch out a bit. Okay. I personally like the look of a patina on micarta scales, so I would have left that alone, but again, just wanted something to be fresh for the new recipient of this knife. Okay, from here we are going to get the cage and the spring ready. Now, this is pro tip. I don't know if you want to call it the first one, but when I was disassembling and reassembling this, I had made a mistake. Now, you see that cage? If you look carefully, this is the part of the cage that faces towards the blade if the blade was closed. So this is how it should go in, like this, because these are not, both sides are not the same. You see how it's raised right there? When you turn it around, there's more room. So the ball needs to sit upwards towards the spine or the back of the blade for it to function properly. So again, this portion that's raised goes in like this, so that way it faces towards the, again, if the blade was closed, it would be facing towards the blade, the edge. Whereas the opening right here is facing towards the back of the knife, okay? I had to learn that the hard way because I put it back together incorrectly and was wondering why I couldn't open it. So, lesson learned. All right, so just shove that in there part way. Oops, okay. So I'm gonna leave it there for a second. Drop the ball in, the stainless. I mean, these are all steps you're gonna have to take if you want to replace your ceramic ball. Probably not to the full extent, but you could probably just quickly replace it by getting it partially out. Ooh. There we go. All right, so it's sitting in there now, right there. I'm gonna push it through so the ball actually starts contacting. Okay, so I don't want to push all the way in yet because I still need to get the blade in here. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and lubricate this portion of the washer with a little bit of nano oil. There are plenty of different solutions out there for lubrication. Pick your own. But these last forever though. I mean, I've had this for close to 9 years. I've disassembled quite a many knives, or at least re-lubricated them, and there's plenty of it left. All right, here's your blade. All right, pop it in here. But as I do it, I'm gonna pull it down a little bit so it actually sinks in. There we go. And from there, I'm gonna push this bar. Oops, that's not good. Okay. Well, I guess we're starting that again. Spring fell out. Put that in there. Okay. I'm gonna use this side to hold the spring closed. See if that makes it easier. So. Oh no, the ball fell out. Oh man, this is a pain in the butt. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of easier knives to disassemble. This is not one of them, so. All right, let's start from the beginning. Spring. Set it there. Get your ball. Set it there. Get your blade. Set it there. Okay, looks and feels sturdy. Okay. From here, let's give it a little bit more lube for the other washer. Okay. So that washer on there right there. Swivel it around just to spread out the lube. All right, so this part is another pro tip. I tried screwing this back screw in on this side, and I could not get it to match up. So what I did instead, so I'm gonna throw this side on first. Okay. This scale as well. Okay, go. Pop that in. Okay, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to insert this screw, this body screw, which is another mid body screw. Okay, I don't tighten any of the screws until the very end once it's all disassembled. And what I've learned, well, let's see if I'm correct still. So let's see if I can get this top body screw in first. Oh, that's not going in. Okay, so yep, my theory is proven. What I did was I brought it down first, closed it, and then put the screws in. All right, there's one. And there's two. And blade play because the other pivot screw's not in there yet. So let's get that one in there. Now, what I like to do with pivot screws, at least with Spyderco's, I tighten it, I go back and forth and feel the point where it tightens up and it won't move anymore, and I try to get it right before that point, or you can just back it out a little bit. The D side, where the D-shaped pin, you can tighten it all the way. Centering is not bad. Favors the what I would call the clip side. Once if you're a right hand carry, then favors that side a little bit. Let's see. It's free dropping. Blade play. Oh wow, very minimal. I'm very impressed, and I say that because I've had quite a lot of Spyderco's, and so many have had a little bit of blade play even after me tinkering with it, that I'm not surprised when a Spyderco has blade play. But I feel like the new owner is going to be very impressed. This is it's barely any movement, if at all, and you really got to muscle it to kind of get any movement. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up everything now. I'm going to close the blade, safety reasons. Let's see. So top body screw, give it a little crank. Mid one, this one, go. Other side. Solid. All right, so you get let's get the pocket clip back on. And I like to leave the pocket clip screws inside especially with these hourglass shaped pocket clips. They sit really well in there, and it's one of those types of clips where you can just put it over the clip screws and holes, and it'll just fall right in. Okay, so you can start screwing them in. So I don't see the need of taking the pocket clip screws all the way out of the pocket clip. So it's just additional work, I think. All right, tension's good. It's not touching. I mean, it is touching. Let's see that. Oh, there we go. Wow. This came out better than when I first reassembled it, where I was too embarrassed to do the video based on my first disassembly. I had some hiccups here too, but yeah, I know that tinkering with the Manix 2, at least replacing the cage and the ball with ceramic balls, or even just swapping out scales, it's pretty common. It's a lot of people like to customize it and make it their own. Excuse me for that. I just shook the table and started shaking back and forth, but it's still sharp. I do have a sharpening video, as I mentioned, that should be dropping prior to this one, but all in all, this should be the one that the winner gets from the giveaway. So, I mean, not that it should be, it is the one that you're going to be getting. So anyway, the drawing's still, well, by the time you watch this video, the drawing would have been closed. Winner would have been chosen, so irrelevant. Forget I started mentioning that. All right, well, I really appreciate you tuning in. I know this was a long video. I just thought that it was worthwhile to go through each of the steps, only from experience of having experienced some of the difficulties and challenges I faced while disassembling and reassembling the video. But really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you want to get notified for future videos, and hit that bell icon so you actually do get notified. If you have any comments, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay frosty.